Okay, so the January patch for Battlefield 1 has barely just dropped, and DICE is already setting about preparing for the February one. I know, things are moving pretty fast now for Battlefield 1. We know the Apocalypse DLC is coming with the February patch, so plenty of new content to sink our teeth into, but DICE is also making some changes to older content as well. And something that really caught my eye were some changes to the SMG 08. Now, the SMG 08 was a weapon introduced with the Russian DLC back in September 2017, and it certainly looks the part for a weapon to be added to Battlefield 1. It's a scaled-down Maxim machine gun prototype that has no record of ever seeing action during World War I, but it didn't quite pack the punch with players who started to use it. It actually suffered within its own class, the Assault, to be competitive against other SMGs. The damage model at the time reflected other SMGs, but it fired at a slower rate, just 450 rounds a minute. At the time, fire rate was a hugely important statistic, essentially dictating which weapons got picked over others. And I'm looking right at you, Hellregal and Automatico. But since the January patch, the SMG 08 did get the same buffs that the other SMGs did to their damage, meaning it now takes one less bullet to kill a player, but it still suffers from a low rate of fire. In the upcoming February patch, however, it seems DICE is really going to shake up how this weapon performs and what kind of SMG it will become. At the moment, I'd say it's a mid-range performer if you pick the optical variant, and that gives you better aimed accuracy. The 80-round magazine backs you up with enough rounds to go on a nice flank and take down a few enemies at close to mid-range before you need to reload. But DICE does have some different plans for the SMG 08. The weapon is being changed quite significantly, but in one area that makes all the difference: rate of fire. Currently, in the Battlefield 1 main game, or vanilla Battlefield 1 as most people refer to it, the SMG 08, as I said earlier, fires at 450 rounds a minute. In the CTE, which is currently running test servers for the February patch, and is showcasing Apocalypse content for testing as well, the SMG 08 fires at 770 rounds a minute. That is a 71% increase in the rate of fire in one patch. The difference is absolutely insane, and it's quite alien to move from the base game, or vanilla Battlefield 1, to the CTE servers, playing with the same weapon that performs so differently. Now, from my understanding, these changes have been made to match the SMG 08 with the new Apocalypse weapon for the support class, the LMG 08. Both are similar in looks, being based on the same Maxim machine gun, but they of course fire faster than the Maxim. Now, DICE hasn't changed up the variants on offer, so you can still use the factory or optical variants of the weapon and their specific advantages, but increasing the rate of fire does seem to have had a rather large effect on the recoil and the spread of the weapon. Now, at the moment, we don't have any specific information about changes to recoil and spread. It's just, having used the weapon, there seems to be way more than there was before, and I'm guessing that's to balance out the higher rate of fire. Overall, however, the spread and recoil increases, and the rate of fire to a certain extent, has reduced the effective range of the SMG 08. In the base game currently, as I mentioned earlier, the optical variant is a good weapon for you to use at close to mid-range, going on a flank and taking down a few enemies. In the CTE, it's quite hard to replicate that playstyle now. Because the weapon kicks around a lot more, it recoils all over the place. Regardless of which variant you use, you're going to have a much harder time controlling it at mid-range. The stat changes that DICE has implemented here have moved the SMG 08 within the Assault class and changed how it's balanced. It's moved from a mid-range, more middle-of-the-road SMG, with not a huge amount going for it if I'm honest, to a close to extreme close range, powerful SMG that is capable of going toe-to-toe with shotguns and killing multiple enemies per magazine before needing to reload. Now, you can still pull off some mid-range kills with the optical variant. It retains its better aimed accuracy stats over the factory, but you better get used to using some very short bursts with it to keep your sights on target. Going full auto for longer than maybe 6 or 7 bullets, the recoil and bullet spread will be extremely difficult for you to try and control. And at long range, just don't bother using it at all. Just run away from that sniper that's trying to kill you. One negative effect that I can already see from my testing on the CTE servers of changing the SMG08's rate of fire and its control stats is its consistency now. Whereas before the weapon fired very slowly and was fairly easy to control during sustained fire, you were unlikely to need to reload at all before you died, and if you did have to reload, you would have found that most of the bullets from your last magazine would have hit their target at close to mid-range. It's just debatable if you actually managed to kill the enemy with the low bullet damage per shot before the January patch. In this February update, however, firing at 770 rounds a minute, more bullets are likely to miss the target if you're not aiming correctly before you start firing, and you will have to reload more often if your bullets aren't hitting the target. That magazine empties a hell of a lot faster than it did before. With DICE completely changing up how the SMG08 plays and how it's balanced, in my eyes it now sits as a close competitor to the Automatico, which we know has had more than its fair share of balance issues in the past. Currently the Automatico sits as really the only viable submachine gun to use in extreme close quarters. Its 900 round a minute rate of fire and high bullet spread keeps it somewhat balanced, although I'd argue that PC players can still abuse that a little bit with their mouse. Now we have another option in that area, the SMG08. It will have a lower rate of fire than the Automatico, but it will have more ammunition and is almost restricted to close range. But it will compete at extreme close range as well. Both the SMG08 and the Automatico should still be beaten by shotguns, because shotguns control the extreme close range market, but these SMGs deal their damage so fast that up against other assault players holding SMGs, medics and their rifles, supports and their LMGs and scouts, at close range and extreme close range, they are going to win 99% of the time. So right now then, the SMG08 is moving from a below par, close to mid-range SMG to a powerful close and extreme close range weapon. The change did take some getting used to, and if I'm honest, it felt extremely strange. A really good suggestion on the CTE Reddit pages was made by Bleeding Uranium as to how the SMG08 could be further differentiated from the Automatico and offer something different and interesting rather than just another fast-firing SMG that's really good at close range. He suggested transforming the optical variant into an experimental variant. Now, the MP18 Experimental is a weapon that is rarely seen in Battlefield 1 servers, likely due to it not being as easy to use as the optical and the trench, but its headline feature is a 3-round burst fire mode. At range, this makes the MP18 much more accurate and gives it a chance to compete with some of the LMGs and the medic rifles. The same thing could be offered to the SMG08 here. If DICE were to transform the SMG08 optical into an experimental variant, that would offset the insanely high rate of fire and slightly reduce its power at close range and give it back its power at mid-range. Enforcing a 3-round burst would let the user control recoil and spread and could allow for some really nice mid-range engagements. It's just an idea, maybe DICE could test it in the CTE. After all, that is the testing ground for new ideas for Battlefield 1. So, that's what's happening with the SMG08. DICE is playing around with it at the moment, but judging by their language used in the patch notes, it seems that the modifications they've made so far are ones that are here to stay. If I hear anything further, any more changes on this weapon or others coming in the future, I'll of course keep you guys updated, but it'd be great to get your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments section today. I recently posted a video giving my opinion that the RSC rifle might now be a bit too powerful, and I still believe that, but it's pretty clear that I angered quite a few people out there by giving that opinion out publicly. Please remember that just because I have a channel that makes Battlefield 1 content, that doesn't mean that the developers just simply listen to me and make changes based on what I say. That couldn't be further from the truth. The best thing that you guys can do to give your own opinions on fixes, changes, and new content, go and follow the Battlefield 1 CTE Reddit page and look out for official update threads that include surveys for you guys to fill out. That's the feedback that DICE is listening to. I fill in those surveys too, but my voice has no more power than yours, and DICE is looking at those surveys for feedback on their CTE tests. Thanks very much for watching today, and until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.